Among the hundreds of nitromethane-burning monsters that have terrorized drag strips, one dragster was so controversial that it sparked debates about military sponsorship, taxpayer money, and whether the government belonged in motorsports at all. This is the story of how Tony the Sarge Schumacher and the U.S. Army built a top fuel dragster that dominated NHRA for nearly 2 decades and changed the business of drag racing forever. Tony Schumacher didn't start life as a military man. Born on Christmas of 1969 inches, Chicago, he grew up in the racing world as the son of former funny car driver Don Schumacher. Tony attended Maine South High School in Park Ridge, Illinois, and later St. John's Military Academy in Delafield, Wisconsin, before attending Oakton Community College. By 1996, at age 26, Schumacher was trying to break into top fuel racing. His very first qualifying attempt came at the Mack Tools U.S. Nationals that year, where he qualified 16th. But tragedy struck when top fuel points leader Blaine Johnson was killed in a qualifying accident. Schumacher would have raced Blaine the following day. In an emotion-filled moment, Schumacher honored the fallen driver by idling down the track rather than making a full pass. He made it all the way to the finals before losing to his former Don Schumacher racing teammate, Corey McLenithan. It was a sobering introduction to top fuel racing, but Schumacher was hooked. What he needed was backing that could propel him into championship contention. That opportunity would come from the most unexpected source, the United States Army. By 2000, the U.S. Army was looking for a marketing platform to reach potential recruits. They had identified drag racing's young, predominantly male audience as ideal, but they needed the right driver to represent America's military. When Schumacher heard the Army was evaluating top fuel drivers, he walked into that meeting with a freshly shaved head, looking like he'd just stepped out of boot camp. The transformation was instant and deliberate. Schumacher wasn't just pitching a sponsorship, he was auditioning for a role. The Army unveiled its partnership with Don Schumacher Racing at the U.S. Nationals in Indianapolis over Labor Day weekend 2000. And as if scripted, Schumacher won that race, immediately validating the Army's investment. But not everyone was celebrating. Critics immediately questioned whether taxpayer dollars should fund a race car. They argued military recruiting budgets shouldn't go toward motorsports sponsorships. The controversy was instant, loud, and would follow the Army dragster for its entire existence. The U.S. Army Top Fuel Dragster wasn't just fast, it was a technological marvel. At 2,225 pounds, the machine produced 8,000 horsepower from its supercharged nitromethane-burning engine. It could accelerate from 0 to over 330 miles per hour in under 4 seconds. Between every 4-second run, Schumacher's 9-person crew completely disassembled the engine and rebuilt it in 75 minutes. The team earned the NHRA Full Throttle Hard-Working Crew Award following races in Bristol, Tennessee in June 2010, after working through brutally hot conditions. The Army livery itself was impossible to miss, with bold, patriotic colors that screamed military pride. Critics called it propaganda on wheels. Supporters called it recruiting genius. Either way, when that dragster rolled to the starting line, everyone paid attention. What really angered critics wasn't just the sponsorship, but how effective it proved to be. The Army built a comprehensive marketing program that included speaking engagements at high schools, future soldier programs, and Army Center of Influence events. Schumacher gave over 200 speeches per year for the Army, visiting high schools and talking to potential recruits. His message focused on preparation, teamwork, and dedication, themes that resonated with both racing fans and military recruiters. Schumacher took the role seriously. He went to Afghanistan and Iraq, jumped out of planes, drove tanks, visited military hospitals, and completed weapons training and basic training. Critics argued this made him a fake soldier. Supporters countered that Schumacher honored the military by taking his role seriously. The controversy never died. It just became part of the story. Whatever anyone thought about the sponsorship, nobody could argue with the results. In 1999, before the Army deal, Schumacher won his first NHRA Top Fuel Championship and became the first driver to exceed 330 miles per hour in competition. But with Army backing starting in 2000, Schumacher entered a new stratosphere. He began an unprecedented run of 6 consecutive World Championships from 2004 through 2009. The 2008 season stands as perhaps the most dominant in NHRA history. Schumacher won 15 races in 18 final rounds, posted 9 No.1 qualifying awards, and never lost a first-round pairing. He was named Driver of the Year for all of motorsports. The Army Dragster had become unstoppable. On the 14th of September 2008, at the inaugural NHRA Carolinas Nationals, Schumacher surpassed Joe Amato as the driver with the most wins in NHRA Top Fuel history with his 53rd career victory. By the end of his career, that number would climb to 88 victories. But it was the 2006 championship that created what became known as the Run, perhaps the most memorable moment in NHRA history. Coming into the final race, Doug Kalita led the points with Schumacher close behind. For Schumacher to win the championship, he needed to go 2 rounds further than Kalita and set a national record. When Kalita lost in round 3 to Schumacher's teammate Melanie Troxel, the door opened. Schumacher battled to the final round, where he had to win and run a new Top Fuel national record. He did both, winning the championship in what became drag racing's greatest comeback. If the Army Dragster had a home track, it was Indianapolis. Schumacher won the U.S. Nationals an incredible 10 times, a record for all NHRA professional categories. The Labor Day weekend event was where the Army partnership had been unveiled, and it became the stage for Schumacher's most memorable performances. Winning Indy once is every NHRA driver's dream. Winning it 10 times is almost incomprehensible. Each victory added fuel to the critics' fire about taxpayer money. Yet the Army's recruiting numbers showed the program was one of its most effective marketing tools. By 2018, the Army had been sponsoring Schumacher for over 18 years. The Dragster had won 7 of Schumacher's 8 championships, 80 of his 84 career national event wins at that point, and 748 round wins. But the Army announced it would be ending its sponsorship at the end of the season, shifting marketing strategies in different directions. The season-ending Auto Club Finals marked the 427th and final race with Army sponsorship. In fitting fashion, Schumacher reached the final round before falling to the newly crowned champion, Steve Torrence. The U.S. Army Top Fuel Dragster proved that government sponsorship in motorsports could work, even if it remained controversial. Today, Schumacher continues racing, having joined Rick Ware Racing for a partial schedule in 2025. His 8 championships and 88 victories make him one of drag racing's all-time greats. He was inducted into the Motorsports Hall of Fame of America in 2025 and into Bristol Dragway's Legends of Thunder Valley in 2023. But his legacy will always be tied to that Army Dragster, with its patriotic livery and military precision, the car that angered critics who questioned taxpayer spending, the car that dominated an entire decade of NHRA competition, the car that turned a driver into the Sarge and made military values part of drag racing culture. Whether you loved it or hated it, the U.S. Army Top Fuel Dragster changed drag racing forever. It proved that controversial sponsorships could be wildly successful, showed military marketing could work in motorsports, and created a legend in Tony Schumacher, who will always be known as the Sarge, even if he never actually enlisted. What other controversial sponsorships changed motorsport forever? Let us know in the comments and explore more stories about partnerships that dared to think differently.